Friday morning it is extremely hot. It's going to be the weekend though, which is really a beautiful thing because we're all about had enough. Always enjoy seeing our friend Amy Wyrick, who is the Attorney General for the County of Shelby. The DA, we called her, the DA. She's the DA. And she fights crime and evil and hateful people. Is that right?
That is correct.
Okay. Good to see you.
Good to be here.
How's it going?
It's going pretty well, considering the amount of violent crime and other issues that we are dealing with as a community.
You crossed my mind during the bridge incident. I thought, I wonder what she does during times like this. If her phone's ringing off the hook, we have the bridge closed, we have marches downtown, we have the threat of imminent trouble, which was not.
Which was not.
So, which we are all thankful for, and that was a blessed event. What do you do at times like that? Just wait for the phone to ring over and over again?
Pretty much. Of course, glued to the television and watching and hoping and praying that it didn't turn into chaos, and that everyone continued to protest peacefully and that no one was hurt. And fortunately, that's the end result.
Why do you think that ever since then, and there were threats in South Haven, there were threats here and yonder, there were 4 or 5 different places mentioned the Friday after that, and none of them came to pass. And the young man who was apparently in charge, self-appointed, let's say, was caught with his own hand in the bad place, and he has gone away as well. This whole thing has quieted considerably.
It
Why,
has.
do you
Well,
think?
I think a lot of that is hats off to the law enforcement, to the police department, and the relationships that they have worked on through community policing and other efforts that were started years ago to help build those bridges and cement those relationships. But I think they were allowed to protest. They protested, and I don't think anybody is going to send the message, stop protesting, just keep it peaceful and keep it within the means of civilization, and don't let anybody get hurt.
It does kind of, though. I mean, this has been, what, it'll be 2 weeks Sunday?
Yes.
And it's been quiet here for over a week. Did we get a sense that maybe this is quieted for a bit, or is it the calm before the next storm? Or, because you hear things, I'm sure, on the street that we don't hear, but there doesn't seem to be anything building or budding. Everything seems to be cool.
Everything does seem to be cool for now. I think the police department and other law enforcement agencies are always thinking ahead, always preparing for the next sign of chaos,
Yeah.
or the tragic event. But let's hope that we don't have that, and let's hope that all those preparations are never needed in this community, and that we can continue to show the nation what it should look like.
Yeah, and this has been, there's been Baton Rouge, there's been Dallas, and perhaps we have gotten a sense across the country that enough is enough, and we need to calm down and think about what we're doing, and that all lives matter, and let's stop this this incestuous and it just never ends. Just this hate and this anger. We just got to calm down.
Well, I agree, and we've got to get back to looking at what is really the cause of the violence, and why did we, if you take the law enforcement issue out of it, why was our violent crime rate going through the roof once this new year started, and up until even now? I mean, we're seeing more homicides this year than we have seen since anyone can remember.
Yes.
And we need to look at what's going on and why there are so many guns in the hands of those who want to commit evil. Why is it so easy for them to get their hands on them, and why is it so easy for them to commit that violence?
That is a tough task, and that is on you and the MPD and the mayor, and there's no real obvious answer, but I suppose that everybody is on track trying to fix that and find the answers. Perhaps having a permanent police chief will make this a bit more solid. That's the mayor's call, I presume. He's being thorough. And he is vetting these people, and there are 5 names now. So it seems that maybe that the sooner that gets done, there's a more firm handle on this.
I think so. And meanwhile, we're also in the midst of planning Operation Safe Community 3, which is a
Explain
plan
that
is a piece of paper, several pieces of paper that has a strategy on it that we as a community will work for the next 5 years. And it started back in 2007 with Operation Safe Community 1. It's the reason that violent crime was reduced 27% in this community. It involves many partners, many agencies who commit to accomplishing the goals on those documents. And that's what we're working on right now, drafting, and we will roll that out very soon. But yes, the big focus of that plan is going to be how can we bring violent crime down in this community. We've done great work in the area of property crime. That continues to go down. I think it's down 40% over where it was in 2007. We need to continue to make sure that goes down, but we've got to get a handle on the violent crime, starting with aggravated assault. We know that today's aggravated assault is very likely to be next week's homicide. So how can we put a lid on it? How can we prevent it from eking into the world of homicide?
So is this the same bunch who's trying to get a hold of these kids at 14 and 15 years old and guide them into a life of education and decency? And there's some new thing that we saw, some group who's trying to get these kids by the neck now and help them and guide them into a church group or into something that's not on the street with a gun in their hand.
And that's a big part of it. Of course, the plan involves enforcement, suppression. That's a big part of it. Our multi-agency gang unit, initiatives like PSN, working with the U.S. Attorney's Office and Safe Streets Task Force. But a big component of what we do every day is prevention and intervention. How do we keep that 9-year-old from joining a gang?
Yep.
How do we keep these kids from ever going down that path? That's why we are constantly beating the drum about school attendance and making sure that your kids are in school every day. Because if they're not, they're more likely to end up in juvenile court, and they're less
doing something
likely
bad.
to get a high school diploma.
Okay, on that note, school begins, we discussed this, 2 weeks from Monday. And you are, this is a never-ending battle to get these kids in school. The truancy rate in this city is ridiculous. You've tried, I mean, it's like door to door, where's your kid, what's going on? You request these people to come to meetings, no one shows up. That must be really encouraging.
It really is.
So what is the attempt for 2016 to raise the profile on how bad this is and to make these parents wake up and understand how serious this is?
It's pretty bold, and Superintendent Hobson and myself and many, many other people that are part of this task force of how do we get kids in school have committed to reducing chronic absenteeism. So bigger than just truancy, because truancy is unexcused absences.
Chronic means what? How many?
Chronic means 10 days or more, excused or unexcused. It could just be that a child has health issues, and because of those health issues, they are missing that much school, but it's still something we've got to get a handle on. It could be bogus notes from a doctor. It could be something that would be easily treated if they had access to the proper health care, whatever. But chronic absenteeism is bigger than truancy. And we've committed to reducing chronic absenteeism by 25% in the Shelby County schools and the ASD schools. And it's a huge goal, but we've got to do it. We had 29,000 kids last school year who missed 10 days or more at a cost of $10 to $30 million to the school system, because they get money based upon back ends in seats. And so
$30 million out of that budget that already is seemingly a bit large, but this adds to it that much?
It does. It does. And we also know that when kids are not in class, they're more likely to end up in jail, and they're less likely to get a high school diploma. So the more kids we have in school, the better off that child is going to be, and the better off we're all going to be as a community. So Monday night, we're going to have the first event in this initiative. It's a celebrity call-in event where we've got Joe Birch and the mayors and the sheriff and
if Joe called,
police director.
I'd go to school.
That's right. If Joe says get to class, you better get to class.
Yeah.
That's right.
So him and like who else?
I can't remember. I think Merle Purvis has agreed to attend. And what we're going to do is call these families. We know who these families are. We know
it's that narrowed down. That's
is.
specific.
They have that data. It's typically the same families year after year.
How do
so
they
we're
react when someone calls and says, hello, Mrs. Jones, this is Joe Birch. I'm calling about your kid not going to school?
Well, we're going to find out. We've never done this before. And what we're going to encourage people, first and foremost, is your child registered for school? Because if we're 2 weeks out,
is he okay?
Is he healthy? Is he registered? Are we ready to go? You got that uniform laid out? You got the school supplies? Let's get everybody ready to start school on August 8th and stop this nonsense of waiting until September 8th to get Johnny registered for school and start the school year. School starts August 8th.
As a last-ditch effort to get somebody's attention, or is it just one more little stepping stone towards solving this really bad problem?
Well, it's one of many steps that we're going to take. This is kind of the start of it, and we will continue this initiative throughout the week, calling families and making sure that everybody's ready and aware that school is starting, and then we're going to continue those efforts throughout the year. I spoke to the principals yesterday at Southwind High School and basically told them that as a task force, as a group, we're here to support you. And it's up to the principals to zero in and focus on this issue of attendance, but we want to help them and get the community engaged. We had one principal tell us in a meeting that business owners in his neighborhood where his school is, if they see his students roaming around on the sidewalk during school hours, they have such a great relationship with that principal, they pick up the phone and they call him. And he gets in his car and he picks them up and he brings them to school. So, but it takes that kind of community awareness and that community effort to...
The intermingling of everybody's attempt from, be it Joe Birch to the principal that you just mentioned.
Right.